I've got to go over this 40 by 120 foot garden. I've got to take off all the old vegetation. I've got to roll back the weed barrier and dress that and break that up just a little bit to work that material into the ground, and then put a second layer on top to keep the weeds from coming up right away, just to prepare to plant this spring. Yes, there's a lot of things I could have done. I should have took the vegetation off last fall, but I didn't. So I've got to get started now. And it looks like a very daunting task. But we can do it. I've got a chair here in case I get tired. Hey guys, welcome back to Willie Farms. We are here. We're going to start planting for spring. This is the last day of February. So I've got a 40 by 80 garden behind me. And yeah, it does look daunting, I know. And I have to go back to the old cliche, the old proverb, whatever you want to call it. How do you eat an elephant? Well, the answer to that is one bite at a time. I'm sure many of you have heard that. I'm not sure what the origins of that is, but it's always been one of my favorite sayings. And we've got 40 foot wide, 120 foot long garden to do, and we're going to break it into bite-sized chunks. And that first bite is going to be these first 2 rows here, 10 foot down. We're going to peel those back, break that up just a little bit. We're not going to turn the soil over. Put some compost on top, mix it in, and then put a layer of compost on top of that and put our fabric back. So that is our first bite. Here we go. And what we're going to do is these first 2 rows, like I said, and just the row part. We're not going to worry about the center part here because that's just row. That's just a walkway. We're going to roll these back. We're going to start with these 2 top ones because it's uphill. We've had a lot of rain here in the last week or two. Last 2 days have been dry, but this should be able to be worked right now. So that's why we're starting up here. All right. Now you've noticed I've taken one side and rolled it back. The other one I just took completely and rolled it back. I want to see which way works the best, which way goes back the best, which is the easiest to work with. So, all right, we've got that first part done. We've got 10 feet uncovered on both sides. We're going to kind of loosen this up after we put a little mulch on top. After we put a little compost on top, we're going to try to work that in just a little bit, break this up, because this soil does become compacted under this weed barrier. One reason this is heavy clay soil and it has not been amended as much as we need it to be amended. That's why we're going to add the compost, and we're going to keep doing that from here on until we can get this clay worked down where it's pliable, good loose soil. And then we'll add compost every year to enrich the soil's nutrition for the plants. Now this is our compost pile. If you didn't see the video earlier, you can go back and watch it where we scoop this out of our winter feed lot at the end of last summer before we put the cows in there for the winter. And we feed the cows in one central location with a hay bale. That hay, they eat, and where they eat, they poop all around it. It gets mixed in with the hay, and it starts to compost on its own. And then when they're brought out on summer pasture, we go in there, scoop that up, bring it out here, start turning it over and letting it finish compost, and we've got an excellent compost for the garden. All right, let's load some up. Worms in there. Good deal. We'll load that worm. All right, I think that's enough to get started with. Our row ends right here. We're going to need some more. And we want to get a couple of inches of compost on here before we start working it in, and it looks like I may have a little more in some areas. Now we're not turning the soil over, we're just breaking it up and working this down into that soil a little bit. And if you turn it over, you could bring up weed seeds and all kinds of things you don't want. I'm only going about probably 2 to 3 inches into the soil. Just twisting this potato fork, breaking that loose, and the compost is falling down in there in those voids, and some of the clay soil is coming to the top. We're trying to not to mix it up any more than we have to. Lower part mixed up, but with the weed fabric, it's really not going to make a lot of difference. Ends bit some of the first greens that come up and bloom, good for the bees, but it's not good for my garden, so I get it out. It's not real invasive in my garden, but it will stay there a while if you don't move it, and it will take nutrients from your soil. It's got it loosened up pretty good. We're going to add just a little more. Now we're just going to come over the top. Just put a little more of this in there. Make sure it's broke up. It's about half as much a while ago. It was a full wheelbarrow for the 10 foot. And then we're going to add some on top. So for every 10 foot of single row here, we're using a wheelbarrow and a half of this compost. All right, we've got this one roll done. We can put the fabric back over it, or we can leave it off. Right now, we're probably just gonna leave it off. We're gonna do this side and see how much energy I've got left. And then we'll see if we do more or if that's it. But we got started. I've changed my plan of attack on this row. And what I'm doing is gonna break it up first. And I'm going a little deeper. I can go about 6 inches deep. And pick up on that fork, push it in, push down on it, break that up. I'm not turning it over. Some of it is getting turned over a little bit, but it's just the surface stuff. It's nothing down low. And then come back and just break that up a little bit. And it's only compacted, that I found, only the first couple of inches. Now that's enough to stunt seed growth, but it's not as deep as I thought. The rest of it is fairly loose underneath there, which is great. All right, that's the last of it. We'll just break that up. Now all we have to do is just throw one layer of compost on here and be done. All right, let's get some compost on here. Look at that worm right there. That's a big worm. Been eating good. We want them to keep doing that. All right, we have got 2 rows done, 10 feet each. That's 20 foot plantable row now. We can put our covers back on top and those will be ready to go. And we have got started on a project that just looked overwhelming. And we did that. We're going to do that by dividing it into sections. And when we divide it into sections, and something we know we can get done in a amount of time we've got, and we get it accomplished, that gives us incentive to do it again. So we're going to do this one little bit at a time, one section at a time. And the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Hey, remember to like, share, and subscribe. All three of those help us. When you subscribe, you can hit the bell, get notifications when we put new videos on. When you like it, that puts it out on YouTube and other platforms that you liked it. Other people really like it, so they put it out there more. And when you share it on social media, if you liked it, probably some others will like it that you know. So all three helps us, and we appreciate that very much. We appreciate you stopping by here at Willie Farms, and we hope y'all have a blessed day. And remember, count your blessings every day, and I believe you will find you're blessed far beyond measure. I know that I am. God bless. Bye.